All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Twilley. I'm the director at the Women's Business Center at Maryland Capital Enterprises. And for those of you who aren't familiar with MCE and the Women's Business Center, we assist entrepreneurs that are getting started in business or if they're already in business and trying to expand. We do business consulting, marketing consulting, training workshops such as this, and also do small business loans. So our service area is the entire Eastern Shore of Maryland, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County. So if we can be of assistance, I'm going to put my information in the chat. That way you'll have my email and contact information. But we are excited today to have Eduardo Hayden from the Government Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs. That's always a mouthful for me to get out. It's easier to say Gosba. So thank you so much for being here today, Eduardo, and we're looking forward to learn more about Gosba.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Good to be here. Did you want me to go ahead and start, or I didn't know if you needed to do anything else?
Nope, you can go ahead and start while you're getting your screen set up. I also wanted to say we have Tina Thompson from the Eastern Shore Innovation Center, and we are doing this class in partnership. We were hoping to do in person, but ended up being virtual. A lot of people said they could only attend virtually, so maybe next time we'll be able to do it in person, and everybody can come out to the Eastern Shore Innovation Center and learn what they're doing, great things out there, and Tina will give you a tour, and it's awesome. So hopefully you'll get to visit there.
All right. So now before we go on, I want to also just highlight that we have Ms. Pamela Gregory. She's the chief of staff in our office. So thank her very much for connecting us for this lunch and learn. So I do appreciate that. So thank you to Ms. Gregory for being with us. All right, I'll move forward. Name again, Eduardo Hayden. I'm the Small Business Outreach Manager here with the Governor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs. I'm going to go over a couple of things here at the beginning, just who we are, what we do, to give you guys a sense for that. We provide oversight, monitoring, and compliance of our 3 socioeconomic procurement programs. That's across 70 state agencies and departments. And I'll go over each one of these programs here in a little bit. We conduct statewide outreach and training programs. Part of that does include what I'm doing today, which is coming on and doing presentations when we're invited to do so, or serve as panelists or moderators or facilitators in any other kind of capacity. We do have 3 particular programs that we offer as part of the outreach and training. That's our TIPS, which is training and insights for procurement success. That's a webinar series. We do that twice a month, and I'll give you more information later on about that. We do our Ready, Set, Grow procurement connections workshops or webinars. That's an access to opportunities type of event. In that one, typically we'll invite state agencies, their procurement representatives or liaisons to those offices. And then we try to get them to connect directly with you as a vendor in that in-person event about those opportunities that may be current for them or in their pipeline. And then lastly, we offer what we call Small Biz Resource Connections. Those are informational webinars, which we do every other month. We will have someone like a resource partner comes on, and we give them an hour to sort of give information about the services they offer to the business community, and then how you guys can connect with them. And then we curate a bunch of online resources that you guys can tap into for your growth and for your development. You can get those at our website, gomdsmallbiz.maryland, spelled out, .gov. And you can take a look at that, click on resources, and then you can sort of navigate there. Now, 3 things right off the top that are very important for you to know if you want to do business with the state of Maryland or in business in the state of Maryland. Those 3 things are As a vendor, if you're trying to do business with us and you're hoping to receive a contract award and the payment, of course, you have to be in good standing with the Maryland Department of Assessment and Taxation. That's the office that oversees the registration of your business. That's where you set up your account for your business in the state of Maryland, where you register it. Now, what does it mean to be in good standing is very basic. The most basic aspect of managing your business is, are you paying that yearly fee, right? Are you submitting those financial statements and any other kind of tax-related paperwork that's necessary? And as long as you're doing that every year, you'll be in good standing. If you're not, you can fall out of being in good standing. You don't want to do that. So just keep up with that. I included the link, so when you get this presentation, you can go directly to that site and you can sort of navigate there. Second thing that I want you to know is that although certification is not a requirement for you to do business with the state of Maryland, it is important to understand why should you certify the business. And the big primary reason here is that nearly every contract that the state reviews is being looked at to see if it falls into one of those three programs, right? The Small Business Reserve, the Minority Business Enterprise, or that Veteran Small Business Enterprise. So if nearly every contract is being reviewed for that, it's important to understand having that certification in hand allows you to be able to leverage the fact that you have it for those opportunities, as opposed to not having it at all. Contract comes out, it has an MBE goal on it, and you never did your certification. Now it's hard for you to compete for that because you don't have it. So it's important to know that's why you should have the certifications as they apply to your business. It's one of the primary reasons. And the last thing that I want to highlight that you do need to know is just understanding a little bit about the thresholds. In the state of Maryland, anything over $15,000 is going to be published on eMaryland Marketplace Advantage. That means it's going to be publicly posted. Once that happens, it's out there, right? You've got everyone is competing for it, but that threshold is important for you to know as a business, because if you're not ready for things beyond that, okay, that changes maybe how you pursue opportunities with the state. Right. And so anything under 15, then you've got to pursue that a little bit different than anything that's beyond that. But it's important to understand that's publicly posted if it's above 15,000. So there are three important things to note as you move forward and you want to engage in doing business with the state. Let's talk about those programs, a little bit about certification. This is not a deep dive. This is an overview, but it'll give you a sense for what you're dealing with and what you can expect with the state. So those three programs, I'm going to start with the Small Business Reserve Program, also known as the SBR. This is a prime contracting program, meaning it's for you, the vendor, to do business directly with those state agencies, right? You get the contract, you're the prime. It does have a 15% set aside placed on it. So that means that, these state agencies are being directed to spend 15% of their budgets into that particular space. It is race and gender neutral. So we're not looking at those factors. This is based on size, the size of the business. And there are some state defined small business eligibility standards that apply here. I'll cover those in a minute. And the certification occurs through EMA, eMaryland Marketplace Advantage. That's our e-procurement platform where all things procurement sort of exist in that space. It takes I'll talk a little more about how long it takes in a minute. It has an annual renewal, so make sure you renew this every year to stay active. And we spent roughly about $448 million last fiscal year in this space. So it's important that having that certification, it's important because those are $448 million worth of opportunities you could potentially compete for, right? The second one, the Minority Business Enterprise Program, is primarily a subcontracting program. This has a 29% aspirational goal, and that's a collective goal for the entire state. When we look at all agencies together, did we spend close to that amount or not. That's the aspirational goal. That's what we're looking for. That's not a contract per contract percentage. It's overall. It is race and gender specific here. We are looking at those particular factors. It is application-based certification process, and I'll talk a little more about that in a minute. It has an annual review process you have to go through, again, making sure everything's up to date, no changes have occurred in ownership, or if they have they been submitted. So just keeping up with everything. We spent nearly $1 billion. That's right, 1B is $1 billion, right, dollars in that space. So again, that's a nice considerable amount of opportunities. So having a certification in this program, if it applies to you, it's important to have. The last one is a veteran-owned small business enterprise program, also primarily subcontracting program. It has a 1% aspirational goal. This is the smallest of our programs and the newest program. It does have a 3-step certification process that includes the verification of your veteran status. And this also goes through EMMA, E-M-M-A, our eMaryland Marketplace Advantage, our procurement platform. Again, I'll talk a little more about the certification pieces in a minute. We spent roughly about $35 million in that space. Now, important to note, for the minority business enterprise and the veteran program, we do encourage that even if you're certified as an MBE or a VSBE, if you have the capacity to perform as a prime contractor in these programs, we do encourage that you do that. Please seek out those opportunities. And there are some benefits that come along with being both a certified MBE or VSBE and being the prime as it relates to the contracts that come through. So although primarily subcontracting programs, if you have the ability and the capacity to be the prime, we do encourage that you seek out those opportunities. A little bit about the certifications for the Small Business Reserve. That's a self-certification process, right? Some of the things you want to keep in mind here is that you want to be a for-profit business, cannot be a broker. I think the exception there might be is real estate or insurance, I want to say. I'm not, but you cannot be a broker, generally speaking. It cannot be a subsidiary of a larger business. This next one I'm going to highlight because you're going to be asked, are you dominant in your field or your industry? And the answer to that is you're going to say no, you're not the dominant player in that industry. That's not a question about how awesome are you at what you do, right? It's are you the dominant player? Are you the FedEx, the Walmart, right? The Amazons of the world, if you will, in your space. That's what it's asking. Because if you are, then you're way too big to be in this particular program. So just know when that comes up, that question comes up as part of the process, note that you are not the dominant player in your industry. It's not a question about how great you are. It's about the size. It's looking for size. And then you have to meet either an employee or fiscal thresholds, which I'll go over in a minute. This takes about 20 minutes online on EMMA, as I mentioned, for you to go through this process, get the certification, okay, 20 minutes. And roughly about 25% of opportunities you find right now in EMMA are for this particular program, 25% of the opportunities. So that's a good amount. So you want to be certified as an SBR based on your size. The second one, Minority Business Enterprise, it's got a free application assistance webinar. They do the first Tuesday of every month. It's webinar, but you want to go to it because it'll explain how to go through the process. What do you need and what can you expect? The certification is handled through the Office of MBE at the Maryland Department of Transportation, or MDOT. They oversee the certification for this program. Some of the things to keep in mind is your minority status. So there are presumed groups that they have identified, such as, women, African-American, Latino, Asian, and some others. So that's what it's meant by minority status. You have to have 51% ownership in your company. They're going to take a look at aspects of control meaning as the owner and at 51% ownership, do you have enough knowledge, experience, and understanding of what it is that you're putting forward, right? That you can make decisions about what services are you providing here, right? So as an example, you don't necessarily have to be the plumber that's doing the work to be the owner, but you do have to understand enough about what that process entails for you to be able to determine if the plumbers doing the work are doing it to the quality that is necessary, as an example, right? So control, you have to have enough knowledge, understanding, and experience to understand and control what the business is putting forward. The size of your business takes a look at that. Also, personal net worth as well. And it can take from the moment you submit a completed application with all the necessary information that's been requested, 90 to 120 days roughly for that process to go through, right? It can be longer overall if you take into account, the time it takes you to maybe gather the information they're asking. But that clock for those 90 to 120 days I'm talking is from the minute you submit that completed application moving forward. The last one, veteran-owned small business enterprise, 51% ownership. Must be veteran or veterans if it's a combination of veterans. It does have, again, I said that 3-step certification process, and I'll go over each one of these a little more later on. The application can take 3 to 5 days for this entire process to take place, and it is initiated on EMA, eMaryland Marketplace Advantage. So that's where you will do the certification for the veteran-owned. Okay. All right, so let's move forward a little bit about a couple of things about each one. I mentioned the thresholds, the eligibility standard, for the small business reserve based on number of employees or gross sales, and that's broken out by industry. So as an example here, if you have service operations, right, it's telling you can't go beyond 100 employees or beyond that $10 million that it's posted there. Now, if you were to go over one or the other, depending, I guess, on how much farther you're going on there, you can still qualify as long as you fall under one of these thresholds, right? So again, that's taking a look at the size of your company. But so I'll provide this chart will be in the presentation so you guys can have that for your future reference of what it is per industry. For the MBE, I want to mention real quick the uniform certification application. This is pretty much one application that can allow you almost automatically to get the MBE for your state level certification and automatically add what they call DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, which is a federal certification specific to MDOT projects only where federal funding comes in for those, right? So with one application, you can almost automatically get 2 certifications, the state MBE for all state-funded projects, and then the DBE for those projects that go through MDOT only where federal funding may apply, right? Now, in addition to that, right, if you submit some other requirements and highlight that you want to do this, you could add 2 more federal level certifications, the SBE, Small Business Enterprise. Again, this is a federal certification for MDOT projects only, where federal funding applies, or what they call ACDBE, which is Airport Concessions, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, which is mostly with your with the airports. And again, it's a federal certification for MDOT projects only where federal funding occurs. So technically, you could fill out one application, get a total of 4 certifications that may apply. Again, all of these, you got to do a little bit of work to find out whether or not these apply to you. They don't apply to you depending on what it is that you do. but I wanted to mention they have a uniform certification application that allows you to put the information to potentially get these four in one. So just keep that in mind as you do your research for becoming an MBE in the state of Maryland. And then lastly, this the VSBE certification process. I mentioned there's 3 steps. There's the vendor registration piece is at the beginning. There you have to indicate the interest in getting the VSBE certification. It's then going to take you to step 2 where you have to do a veteran verification. 2 ways that we can do that. Either directly through the Maryland Department of Veterans Affairs where you submit your DD-214 form. This all gets done on Emma. They verify your veteran status, and it's all good to go. Now, for some of you, you may already have what we call the U.S. Small Business Administration Vet Cert. So it means you've done your verification for the SBA program at the federal level. If you have done that and that is current, you can submit the number to that, and then there'll be a process to verify that has been done, and we'll use that as your veteran verification. And then the last step is the filling out the VSBE application itself and completing all the aspects. We add all of the verification pieces to it, and then a verification number. A certification number is then generated for you at the end. Again, this could take 3 to 5 days for that process, but that's for the veteran program. We do have compliance managers for each one of these programs. So if you're running into any issues or problems, you let us know. We will connect you with them and they can help you better understand what you need to do as far as that process is concerned. All right, procurement pipeline and opportunities. I'm going to go over some of the basic ways that you want to identify opportunities for yourself. These are the 3 primary tools that you can use. Now, this takes a little bit of mining the data that's in here. And I'm going to go over this with some examples so you can kind of see what is it that it takes or what is it that you can gather when you go through each one of these. Again, starting with eMaryland Marketplace Advantage, our e-procurement platform. Our procurement forecast takes a look at everything that is projected for the fiscal year in the state of Maryland. That fiscal year is July through June. So we're looking at everything between those months, okay, or through that time frame. And then the Board of Public Works, and we'll talk more about that, what kind of information you can gather from those tools. All right, starting with Emma, right? Emma.maryland spelled out .gov. You don't have to sign in. Let's say you have not registered in Emma. You don't have to sign in or register to use the tool to figure out what's going on there, what opportunities may be available, right? So what I'm showing you is this is what you do when you navigate, and you don't have to go through that process yet. But I do encourage you, again, you have to be registered in Emma if you really do want to do business with the state. But let's say you're just in the process of figuring things out. Go to Emma, do a public solicitation search. It's going to give you a nice little portal here, search portal. You can search in many different ways. Here, as an example, I just use services. I made sure the status of what I'm going to get back are open, meaning what opportunities are currently open on the system. You can always take a look at the advanced search if you want to add other filters. In this case, just as an example, I put anything that has MBE goal. I want to know what's available for that, right? And then you hit search. What you get is you get something that looks like this, right? It's going to be a nice little long list of just multiple things. Sometimes if a first look, it looks like way too much. But this is why we do these kinds of trainings, to break that down a little bit. So as an example, when you do this, keep an eye out on how many results you get back. And I say that because sometimes the keyword, if you use a particular keyword, and let's say you don't get a lot of a return, you don't get a lot of returns on that, maybe you need to play around with that keyword. Make sure you're using different things that maybe mean the same thing, right? So if you do uniforms, right? Sometimes you have to use a different term that's related to that particular industry that might generate more results than just uniforms, right? So just keep that in mind, but keep in mind how much you get back. So in this case, let's say you take a look at everything that's here. This main page is going to give you the basic things, an ID number, titles, the due dates, or when they're closed, when it was published. Main category refers to product and service codes, things like that. It'll tell you the type of solicitation and then the agencies that are putting this forward. But if you want to get deeper into one of these, you identify one you like, click on that blue highlighted part under title, and that's going to give you this next screen. And on there, you get a lot more other information that's very important, right? Here, if you look at this box coming up now, just in that alone, you get various things. For instance, it's telling you the solicitation type. Now, if you're not sure what I'm referring to here, they're either going to be bids or proposals, is more or less what you're going to see as far as solicitation type, right? A bid pretty much means we know the problem and the solution. We need you to bid on it. And so there's going to be a more weighted focus on the price and the minimum qualifications. So we're looking for pretty much lowest price with those minimum qualifications. That's a bid because we know both the problem and solution. If it's a proposal, if you see proposals out here, typically that means we know the problem, but we don't know the solution. So we need you to propose a solution to us. When that happens, then we're looking at a more evenly weighted factor of both the price and the solution that you're proposing in the qualification. So then that becomes what we call best value. So it's possible that that best value will be the higher price, the lowest price, or in the middle, right? But there's no equally weighted focus on both of those things right there. Couple of things to mention here. When you see main category in EMA, that's referring to that product and service code. Now in the state or in EMA, we use what they call the UN SPSC codes, right? It's a United Nations, it's an international coding system similar to the NAICS codes, NICS codes, which is a national one, but that's what's used for this system, EMA system. So when you build your profile, you want to use the codes that are referenced under UN SPSC codes in your profile, and then that's what's highlighted in a descriptor here under main category. Right, so just keep that in mind. I included this link so that when you go to this, you can click on the link and sort of look at what those codes are to see what fits. It's one of the ways that you can make sure you're doing that background information. And you'll see other things. The issuing agency, most importantly, in some cases, is the procurement officer who you can communicate with. Some of the other things you want to keep an eye on are, apart from the project cost, here is, are there any pre-bid conferences that are being listed? Because if there are, it's going to give you further details and you want to go to the pre-bid conference. So if you're a subcontractor, that's the level at which you're at. This is where you're going to see the primes that you could potentially work with or partner with for these particular opportunities, right? So you want to go to the conference for those things. Also, you're going to get to hear from the people who will be managing this particular project, right? So as a prime, you want to go here because you want to hear directly from them. What is it that they're looking for? Get greater insights into this. Or if you know the goals will be attached to something like this, maybe that's where you're going to meet some valuable subcontractors that you can work with. So that's an important thing to keep in mind and keep an eye on our pre-bid conference. Any details for where those meetings will take place, whether it's virtual or in person, and you want to make sure that you go to them. And it also lists things such as, are there any kind of goals attached to this project? This example shows you MBE 5%, right? All right, let's take a look at procurement forecast. The second tool that you can use, you go to our website. So I mentioned that's GoMD smallbiz.maryland spelled out .gov. You go to the procurement forecast at the top right-hand corner. It'll give you the forecast portal. Many different ways that you can search here, 6 different ways. Now, what you're going to find in the forecast portal are mostly projected purchases of 100,000 or above. They do include some that fall below that. They're smaller, but the majority are going to be projected over 100. Now, they're projected because it's possible that, budget restrictions may come down that may not allow for some of these to occur. But this is probably the best list of projected opportunities for this coming fiscal year. And so it's a great place to go and identify, well, what's coming down in the next few months that I could pay attention to or maybe pursue. A very important thing you want to do is anything that any results you get when you do these is that you want to export that to Excel because it gives you a very detailed report and information you're not going to see if you just do gather information from the snapshot that the website itself. And I'll show you that screen in a minute. You can again search 6 different ways, everything from a keyword search to the agency themselves, or even the projected advertisement date, which will be by quarters. It'll be listed as a quarter. So here's an example, right? So let's say we do construction. I took a look at 4th quarter as an example. This is what it gives me, a little snapshot, right? Like I said, it's just enough for you to get a sense for, oh, what's there? But if you want to know more or the details of each one of these, then that's where you want to do the export to Excel so that you can get a better sort of a read of what's out there. So what you'll get is you'll get something like this. Now, this is a partial view. I've collapsed some of the columns that, maybe it was too much to kind of give you a sense for what kind of information you can gather from here. So, as I mentioned, right, I did construction 4th quarter. Those were the filters. Here at the top is going to list out, of course, what is it that is available on this report. Everything, of course, from your agency name to the description, location, and other things. Important things to highlight here, for instance, sometimes you will get the incumbent name. So you're going to get, see who currently has that contract. So if you're a prime, okay, this is your competition when this comes up again, right? If you're a sub, perhaps you need to connect with these individuals to see if they're going to go after this opportunity when it comes due again. Maybe you could work with them as that subcontractor, right? It'll tell you things such as were there goals attached to that current, contract, right? You can see when the estimated advertisement date is. So again, 4th quarter. It's telling you, well, these will come out at a certain time, so you can kind of plan for that. Other things are terms. So it's giving you a sense for, well, some of these contracts will be 3 to 4 years, some 5 years or more. So again, ways for you to prepare for what is it that you're trying to identify as an opportunity and what should you be ready to sort of deal with, right? So if it's something that has this 3 to 4 or 5 years as an example, you want to make sure you're presenting whatever is necessary to show that you can handle the work that's coming down that's for that amount of time, right? Which is a highlight to your capacity as a business. So that's why this information is great and it's important, is because it helps you to sort of prepare yourself better. And then more importantly, you get a list of who are the purchasing officer, their phone number or email. For the most part, in some cases, you may get a to be determined or to be announced. Sometimes when that happens, that just means that you need to connect with the Office of State Procurement. And you can always connect with us if that happens, and then we'll just point you in the right direction. And then we can sort of tell you where you need to go to find out more. But most of them have information about that, the purchasing officer, their phone, their email. So now you have someone you can connect with to find out more about these opportunities. Okay, this is the forecast. The last one I'll mention here is the Board of Public Works. If you're not familiar with the Board of Public Works, it's a very unique process within the state of Maryland in procurement. That's every twice a month on Wednesdays. Today was one of those days. They live stream the Board of Public Works, which is the governor, the treasurer and the comptroller, and they're reviewing all of the contracts over $200,000 to determine whether or not these are going to go forward or not. It's almost the last step for many of these in the assessment process, if you will, before they end up being awarded. And these are live streams, so you can go on and you can watch this as it's happening. It's a great way to sort of see, what that process looks like here in the state of Maryland. Now, another thing they do here is really great is that they create these BPW meeting documents, right? This is basically a list of everything that's going to be discussed in those meetings. Now, these could be easily over 100+ pages, right? But it's worth looking through it, learning what information comes out of it. Because some of the things that you're going to be able to highlight are some of the contracts that are coming through and some of details specific to them. So as an example, here's one. It's going to tell you, well, who is doing this? Department of General Services. They're doing this contract, or who's the procurement officer and their phone number, email, right? It'll tell you things like, well, they're doing this on behalf of the judiciary or Maryland court system. So DGS is basically, doing this contract on their behalf. What is it for? Gives you contract description. And it gives you this excellent information such as, well, who's going to get the award, right? The contract term, for what amount, what procurement method was used here, right? Competitive sealed bidding is an example, right? And then also it gives you great information as to, well, who were the players, who actually bid or competed for this opportunity. So again, if you're a prime, here's your competition, here's their price points. If you're a sub, okay, these are primes that are out there. They're going after these things. So maybe you need to connect with these primes, find out where you can fall in as a subcontractor to be a part of the opportunities that they're out there seeking, right? So great information you can gather from their meeting documents just by going through them. Now, you're not going to find all 100 pages will be this, but throughout those pages, as you review them, you're going to find these, right, that are being reviewed. So it's an excellent thing to keep an eye on. It also tells you, were there MBE, VSBE goals attached to these contracts or not. So again, great information you can gather by just going through and using these tools that are readily available to you to better sort of set yourself up for success and compete with a much greater confidence. Now, with that, I'm going to highlight a couple of things here. I'm getting to the end with respect to our office. So if you go to our website and you want to learn more about how to navigate each one of these pipelines, the EMA, the procurement forecast, and BPW, we've put together on our website a set of videos and slide decks for each one of these that you can review and you can take a look at in greater detail on your own time without being rushed, and sort of learn a little more about how do I use these tools to navigate things. We even added an extra one here called Communicating with Confidence. So once you've identified some of these procurement officers or liaisons to one of these agencies, how do I reach out to them? Well, what do I write? Or how do I do that? What do I put? And so we've got some examples of that in a video slide deck format that you can take a look at as well. So again, a great tool, helps you understand how to use the pipeline, the contracting pipeline in the state of Maryland, and how to mine that data for yourselves. I'll include the links to all of these in the presentation. So when you get this, you can just click on each one of these and go there and start viewing this information for yourselves. All right, real quick, I mentioned a little bit about our training. What do we offer? So I wanted to highlight what's upcoming for this, the next couple of for the next month or so. On Tuesday, September 26th, we will be offering subcontracting in Maryland's Minority Business Enterprise Program. So one of our compliance officers are going to go over this information, help you understand how you can do that. Thursday's class, we have a guest instructor talking about business financial literacy, things you need to understand as a business owner where the financial management of your business comes in, so that you can set yourself up for success, right? It's one of the scariest aspects that I've learned over time that I see that businesses have an issue with is how to deal with their financial management piece, right? A lot of people sometimes don't even want to look at their books to find out, okay, we're not doing as well as we thought, right? But it's the most important factor that you need to have to make sure you're building yourself up correctly. So she's going to go over a lot of great information there. And then we've got a webinar, one of the informational webinars I mentioned, Small Biz Resource Connections, October 6th at 10 a.m. That's Friday. We're going to have Maryland Health Connection for small businesses. So they're looking at, if you're a business that's in a position to try to offer, or you want to offer health benefits to your employees, they're going to go over how do you go about doing that, tax credits or benefits that are involved with setting some things up. So they'll be there to talk about that. And then October 10th, we're going to have Maryland Women Small Business Celebration in honor of National Women Small Business Month. So that'll be an in-person event at Crownsville. Important to note, if you didn't know, we are going to honor the MCE Women's Business Center, as well as our other Women's Business Center, for the work that they do with the women business community. So just, in support of Lisa and what they do, of course, we love to see you guys there. So just keep that in mind, keep this information, save the dates. Registrations are going to be coming out very, very soon for that women's event. So keep that in your calendar. And with that, you'll get this, you get other links. You can just kind of take a look at all of our stuff, resources, events, anything that is related to our office and doing business in the state of Maryland. And with that, I want to thank you guys very much for your time. And Lisa, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Eduardo.
No problem.
That was an awesome presentation. I learned lots myself, things that I didn't know or forgot about. So it's always good to get refreshed on all your services. Does anybody have any questions while we have the expert here? Now's the time. You can either unmute yourself or put it in the chat and I can relay it.
I have question.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I came in when the meeting was on, so I don't know whether you started by 11 or 12 based on my schedule. That's what I was about to say.
You were on at the beginning, so it started at 12.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
So you didn't miss anything. And we're going to send you the recording in case you want to hear it again.
Okay.
And you'll also get the some handouts, a PDF that Eduardo has created. And so we'll send you that information today.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Any questions beyond today? Again, when you get that presentation, you can send me an email and I'll do my best to connect you to what it is that you're looking for. So, and don't be afraid to ask the question now. I do my best to give you an answer if I have it. So
also, I have some meeting that is already scheduled, like Capital Invasion, which is on the 28th of the month from 10 till 12. I have another one which is on Tuesday, October 10th. So I don't know if it's the same meeting that is going on or because I'm just kind of getting into any meeting that comes to my email.
yeah. If for some reason the one on the 28th, which is virtual, that is recorded. Okay. So let's say it's not that one that you're set up for and you have to miss it because you have something else. Connect with me directly about that and I will make sure you get the recording and the slide deck presentation and everything that comes with that one. So just let me know. In the case that it's not, same thing with the one on the 10th. If it is, the one on the 10th is in person, so that's not being recorded. But most likely there is some kind of a slide deck for information that will be offered during that particular things. So if you connect with me about that, I can make sure any kind of information that needs to go out, then I can provide that to you afterwards.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? Tina, is there anything you wanted to add or?
Well, I was chatting with you back and forth, and I have to apologize for coming in and off of cameras. But for anyone who's visited knows, basically I work in a glass office. So as people come in, although I have a note on my door that says I'm in a virtual meeting, I can't ignore them. So please excuse me. I want to thank Eldorado for presenting today. As you said, Lisa, it's a lot of information to intake, and I'm definitely going to review the recording and take some more notes when you send it to us. And I look forward to being able for the center to be able to host more sessions like this. I think it's very informative, and it's very much needed. And I thank everyone for attending. And again, please reach out to me if you'd like to learn more about the center. I'm always available and open. I'm flexible, and we'll work with you. And thank you again, Lisa.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I also want to add, we have Betsy Cooper on today. She's with the Small Business Development Center here on the Eastern Shore. And that's another resource partner. So if anybody is in need of assistance, they basically do the same services as we do, help with business plans. They do training workshops. And so we do a lot of things in partnership. And, they're available to help you as well. They do the same, I always say they do the same things we do, except they don't do loans. We also do loans here at MCE. So, but yes, Betsy, wave.
I have one more question. The certification, is it online or in person?
The certifications. So depending on if it's the Small Business Reserve, that
Yeah.
one you can do online through EMA, Maryland Marketplace Advantage.
Okay.
The VSBE for veteran can also be done that way. The one that is different, although you can probably submit the forms and everything online, but it's it takes about 90 to 120 days, so 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
The minute you submit that completed application is the MBE, which then is handled by the Office of MBE through MDOT, Department of Transportation, right? That's a lot more. One of the values I want people, don't be dissuaded by that time frame, okay? When you think about, it's going to take so long. And what's good about that process is that if they're helping you vet the quality of what you can offer as a business, and when you go through that process, you're going to come out of that so much more prepared to have things in line for everything that comes with having your own business. Because they're going to ask you for paperwork that you should have. And some businesses they don't prepare for it. But a process like this helps you go through that. Make sure you have it. Make sure that you understand how to, describe what it is that your quality, that what's unique about you, right? That you're trying to offer. So it really does put you through a particular process of vetting that helps you formulate a much better, sort of story for yourself, and helps you to be a lot more prepared moving forward. So don't be dissuaded by the process, although it sounds, oh my gosh, it's long, it's this, it's that, it's worth doing. Even if it's for that factor, I would say any business should want to go through that kind of an assessment or analysis so that they know where they're standing and they know how to move forward. So again, don't be dissuaded by, and there is help, right? The agencies, I think the Women's Business Center, SBDC, although they may not, they can't do the certification piece for you, they probably do have resources to help you better understand how to go through that process and what do you need and what do you have. And again, we do have training that you can go to where they'll guide you through the process as well. So you're in a good
Juliet.
group. You're in a good group of
Also, I
resources.
have one more question. For the
No problem.
certification, is it for people who are new in business or for somebody who has been in business for up to 20 years?
It's both. If you don't
Both.
have it, you can be brand new or you can be 20 years. And
Okay.
then you just go after, right, the certification. Again, a certification, you don't need it to do business in the state, but having it is a you know, something you can put in your bag of tricks, if you will, that you can leverage if used
Okay.
correctly. But either one, and they'll deal with you on that level. If you're brand new, they'll tell you what you need. If you've been around for 20 years and you're just now doing this, they'll tell you what you need there too and how that all works. So either one is good.
Okay.
And Juliet, we do have someone that I can put you in contact with that can possibly help you along the way with your application process. She's certified. She's done it. She's taught classes on what to do, what not to do, and she knows all the nuances of it, the system. So we can put you in contact with her if you need it. So just reach out to me. I sent you my email in the
Yeah.
to get it in the chat. Okay. So any other questions? Thank you guys again for joining us today. Thank you, Pam, for being here. We appreciate you and Eduardo and all you guys are doing.
Thank you very
And
much.
I look forward to doing some more classes together. So hopefully we can make that happen in the future.
Yes, ma'am. Just reach out to
Thank
me and we'll discuss it.
Thank
Okay.
you
Thank you.
for having us, Eduardo. Great job.
Well,
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you, everyone.
Thank you very
Everybody
much.
have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thanks, Karen.
You're welcome.